Hello, happy Thursday. Dr. Childress is coming to you Facebook Live at an odd and different time than Sunday. I'll talk to you on Sunday as well. But wanted to just, I've been going around stuff in my brain here and wanted to share some stuff, get some stuff off my chest. Um, Stems from the fact I'm facing another licensing board complaint. And it's like, geez Louise. Okay, now I have to license a attorney up again and deal with another complaint, which is the risk of working with your families. That the pathology is very vengeful. It's a shared persecutory delusion, so it's delusional, and it's going to try to drive all your allies out of the field. Everybody who's going to try to change the situation and change the pathology, it's going to attack them, make it dangerous, and drive them away from working with you and solving the pathology, which is what it has done. So that's a little bit of what I wanted to talk about, is that no clinical psychologist will work over with in the family courts with your families and solving things because of exactly this situation. And I know that. I've known that since I came over here in the family courts. That's why I didn't work over here my entire career. Look at my vita. I'm not in the family courts. I don't work in high conflict divorce. You want forensic psychology. That's what all the clinical psychologists will tell you. And it wasn't only until I entered private practice, took on one case of this, and recognized what was going on over here. This is active trauma. This is active child abuse. This is active spousal abuse. Holy cow, and I'm a trauma psychologist out of foster care, so I'm over here because this is my pathology. The One of the things you'll notice, like right now, there's like some articles potentially coming out over the next period of time supporting my work. The But you notice in the 10 years I've been here, I haven't written any journal articles, or I haven't gone that route to things. Couple of reasons. One is nobody wants me. The Gardnerians have closed their journal off from me, and the forensic psychologists don't want to hear what I'm saying. But another more fundamental reason is that I'm a clinical psychologist and I'm working. And I keep saying that in my posts and stuff, and nobody quite grasps the meaning of that. That I am working right now. I'm changing pathology. I'm fixing things. Once I get everything fixed, then I can write the articles and I'll have the time and luxury of doing that. But right now we have active child abuse and active spousal abuse with the mental health people participating as the spousal abusers and child abusers. Oh my goodness. So I'm doing everything I can as actively as I can to stop the abuse. It's a safety plan. Once we get everybody protected, then I can take the time to write the articles and stuff. But we're at a phase right now where the pathology wants to get me gone. Okay, I am a risk to it because I'm exposing it. I'm exposing its allies. And so there's a lot of people who want to hurt me, particularly around the pathology. And so that's the effort right now. Now, one of the things I'm over here, the reason I came over here was because I'm an old guy. I'm senior staff. I know a lot of stuff. And so I came to both fix the pathology, but also to expose the pathology. And part of that exposure is the allies. The forensic psychologists who are allies of the pathology. They don't realize it quite, but they are. They are participating in the spousal abuse and child abuse, and ignorant, incompetent, unethical, failure in their duty to protect, a lot of stuff. Forensic psychology is failed experiment and service delivery. So there's a whole issue with them. But they're not happy with me, and they control the licensing boards. And so, oh my goodness, so I'm going up against forensic psychologists who want to hurt me. The pathology wants to hurt me, and the ignorant, incompetent mental health people that I expose out there will want to hurt me. with the licensing board complaints. That's where they'll go to do that. So that's the phase we're in right now. And then the opposing counsel wants to grab anything it can to bring it up in cross examination to try to malign my reputation and undermine my testimony. So that's the phase we're in right now. And I'm not surprised by it. It is the reason why no clinical psychologists are here. One of the things I'm doing is I'm exposing that. Okay, so I'm just going to stay here, and that's part of exposing it is going to be taking the abuse, the board complaints and lawyering up and spending the money and doing all that stuff. And so I'm being abused by the pathology over here and its allies, the social distribution feature, to get me gone. And it's worked with all the other clinical psychologists, not with me. I'm a trauma psychologist out of foster care. I'm senior staff, and that's why I'm here. So that's what I'll be doing on this. But I want to talk to the parents out there to impress upon you the nature of the pathology in a broader systems kind of perspective here, not just your family, but how it's capturing the entire field of the family courts and keeping all of you parents in this horrific pathology. And so it's driving away your allies by making it dangerous. And there's nothing you can do to protect me. Okay. And so there's nothing you can do to protect your allies. So that's why they don't come here. So you won't have any mental health allies over here who will fix the pathology or will stand up to it and diagnose it and say it's child abuse, because then they'll face a licensing board complaint and they'll have to fight and do all these things. There's a solution to it. There is a way you can defend your allies in clinical psychology, the ones who will come and stand up for you, like me. Okay, and so I'm like your symbolic figure for that. There's a way to stand up for your allies and protect us, and that's to become as dangerous to the allies of the pathology as the pathology is to your allies. So this is going to be a professional bloodbath. That I anticipate things are going to get bad, and I'm going to take hits because I'm trying to stop a narcissistic, dark, borderline personality pathology from having its way with the children. I'm on active rescue with the children and child abuse, and the pathology doesn't like that. And so it's going to try to stop me from doing it, drive me away. And it's going to do that to all your allies. And the way we fight back is to become as dangerous to its allies as the pathology is to yours. And that's going to just create a lot of mess in the psychology system. Now, I want to be careful here. Do not harass. Do not bring unwarranted complaints. Do not seek revenge or retaliation. That's not the purpose of this. The purpose of this is to establish ethical standards of practice in professional psychology. Standard 2.01, boundaries of competence. 2.04, bases for scientific and professional judgments. 2.03, maintaining competence. And 9.01, bases for assessment, as well as their duty to protect obligations. We have active child abuse and active spousal abuse in the family courts. They need to be doing a proper risk assessment for both of those to the appropriate differential diagnoses here. So if there are warranted ethical violations or concerns about ethical violations, part of my obligation as a clinical psychologist is to make you aware of your rights. And you have the rights to professional competence. The difficulty is the licensing boards, any forensic psychology complaint goes into the forensic psychology people. And they're part of the problem. They're the ones who are doing it. Okay. And so if they acknowledge that that person is unethical, then they acknowledge the whole that they are in the whole scheme of things. So I wouldn't anticipate positive outcomes from it, but I think it's important. I think it's time. Now you can let Dr. Childress go down in flames, sort of thing, and then I leave, I die, and nothing's changed. Um, or we can make a different situation where we reestablish boundaries of competence, the requirements for boundaries of competence, and accountability with the forensic psychologists. They should be doing a proper risk assessment for possible child abuse to the appropriate differential diagnosis for each parent. They should be doing a proper risk assessment for possible spousal abuse, using the child as a weapon. They should do a proper assessment for possible delusional thought disorder in the family, and they should know and apply the established knowledge of professional psychology in reaching their decisions and judgments. The say, how can we help you specifically? Is to start exercising your voice and asserting your rights to professional competence in the mental health people who assess, diagnose, and treat your child and you. The right now, no clinical psychologists are over here. We all refuse. So all people over here are the forensic psychologists who do child custody evaluations. Now, I could say totally safe if I just become a custody evaluator and do the custody evaluations, and I'm totally protected. And that's what they do. As a clinical psychologist out here, I'm flying solo. Okay, I've got nobody protecting me, and I got a lot of people who want it, and the pathology particularly, who want to hurt me. And so I have to stay kind of active in my defense. Again, though, that's if not me, who I'm senior staff. I've worked with all the different pathologies. If I can't keep myself relatively safe, there's nobody who can. And it's interesting, you look at me. I'm out here saying we need ethical standards of practice, and I'm the one getting hit with the board complaints for ethical issues. It's not ethical issues, but I'm having to defend myself to my licensing board, and I'm the one saying we need ethical standards of practice. Holy cow! So that just shows how topsy-turvy the world is. And you're going to have to rewrite that world, write it up, right side up again on this, where when warranted, we need to start holding the mental health people accountable. Accountable to Standard 2.04, the application of knowledge, 2.01, boundaries of competence, and 9.01, bases for assessment, that their opinions as contained in their reports, recommendations, diagnostic and evaluative statements, including their forensic testimony, is not based on information and techniques sufficient to substantiate their findings. The information is Standard 2.04. 9.01 refers right back to it, 2.04. That's attachment, family systems therapy, complex trauma, delusional thought disorders, factitious disorder, the DSM-5. So they're not applying the established knowledge of professional psychology, violation of 2.04. Therefore, their opinions are not based on information sufficient to substantiate their findings. The techniques word means the mental status exam of thought and perception. That's the assessment for a delusional thought disorder, MSE of thought and perception. That they don't know how to do that, they're not doing that. They're not conducting a proper risk assessment for possible child abuse. When that's the differential diagnosis, it's either child abuse by the allied parent, creating the child's pathology towards that parent. That's a two-person attribution of causality. Or it's child psychological abuse by the allied parent, creating a shared persecutory delusion and false attachment pathology in the child for the secondary gain of manipulating the court. That's a three-person attribution of causality. So that's a differential diagnosis. But either direction it's going is as likely a child abuse diagnosis for severe attachment pathology. So, all mental health people should be doing a proper risk assessment for possible child abuse on all of these cases because it's going one way or the other, and they're not. So, they are failing in their duty to protect the child. In addition, the pathology is is driven. The fundamental core line is spousal abuse. It's the brutal emotional and psychological spousal abuse of the targeted parent using the child as a weapon. That's DSM 5 V995.82, spouse or partner abuse psychological. That's the diagnosis as well. And so we got spousal abuse and we got child abuse. They should be doing a proper risk assessment for both of those, and they're not. And they're not applying knowledge 2.04. They're not based on information sufficient to substantiate their findings 9.01 because they're not competent in any of the domains 2.01. So we have reached a point, and that's what I'm basically hopping on here today, is we have reached a point where the pathology's going to be trying to drive me away, trying to hurt me. And so I'm on the battlefield. And Dorsey's been on the battlefield a long time. Has been trying to beat her up and drive her away for a long, long time. But she's hung in there too, and I'm going to hang in with you as well. I know what the pathology is: it's child abuse and spousal abuse, and I know who the allies are. I know exactly who I'm up against here. Um, what I'm asking for, or what I'm pointing out to you, is that I believe it's time for the parents to rise up and start asserting your rights surrounding your child, your right to competence in the assessment, diagnosis, and treatment of the pathology in your family. It's child abuse and spousal abuse, and they need to start doing something about it. And so, when warranted, when your mental health people do not conduct a proper risk assessment for possible child abuse and do not apply the established knowledge as a basis for their professional judgments and are not competent based on their education, training, and experience in delusional thought disorders and in family systems therapy and complex trauma and child abuse and attachment pathology, that you hold them accountable appropriately. And that would be a licensing board complaint, potentially malpractice lawsuit that costs you a little bit of money because you're going to have to hire an attorney on that. But that's the phase we've reached at this point. So I want to just hop on Facebook Live and let you know that we're in it now, boy. And I don't, as I have to be extraordinarily careful because it's a dangerous world for me right now. And because I'm trying to help you, because I'm trying to stop the pathology. And what I wanted to do is come on here and point that out to you parents, because that's going to happen to any clinical psychologist who comes to work for you. That's why they won't come. Okay, you have to understand that. That's why I'm the only one here. Do you see a difference between Dr. Childress and all the other mental health people? Yeah, I'm a clinical psychologist. None of them are. Okay, because none of the clinical psychologists will come over here. But there's a lot of people like me in clinical psychology that know knowledge, apply knowledge, they're really, really good. But they just won't work in the family courts because it's too dangerous because of this. And so, right now, and so that's been my role is look at me, I'm an old guy, I'm out of here. I'm not building a career. I am documenting the pathology. The pathology specifically, the shared delusional disorder, factitious disorder, but it's got a social distribution feature. It's got monkeys. It's got flying monkeys. It's got DV monkeys. It's got just all sorts of monkeys, forensic monkeys. It's just got all sorts of monkeys who participate in the child abuse, who participate in the spousal abuse because of their own psychological stuff. And once the pathology drives the healthy psychologists away, the ones who come into the family courts are the ones who are getting their psychological needs met or financially exploiting the families. They're the only ones that will come over here. Their sole goal is to stay safe, which they do the custody evaluations and they stay safe and don't mess with the pathology because the pathology will retaliate against them. So they don't mess with the pathology. They'll mess with you because you won't retaliate against them. Well, I'm suggesting that sort of change, that you begin to find your voice and find your rights. Um, it's going to be a tough time. The other type, just to let you know, I want to talk about this at some point too. The other type of therapists over here are the child individual therapists. Um, Awful. They're bad news. Broadly, I've worked in psychology all my life, child psychology, ADHD, oppositional defiant disorder, all that stuff. Child therapy is abysmal, just generally. Two models, play therapy and behavioral psychology, neither one of them work. So child therapy is pretty much abysmal. Out there, just ADHD, oppositional defiant, all that kind of stuff. And then you come into the family courts, and holy cow, it's uh, there's no such thing as child therapy in the family courts. The individual child therapists come over here. They call them safe haven or stuff. They basically collude with the child's delusion and foster it by believing it. And so they provide the eyes of the other confirmation that the child's belief that they are being malevolently treated in some way is actually true, because they're misdiagnosed the pathology, because they're practicing beyond the boundaries of their competence in a variety of ways. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. This is going to be an interesting period of time. I'm not happy with it. This is not what I like to do. I'm typically a pretty friendly fella, but you don't abuse my kids, and this is pretty brutal spousal abuse that's going over here, and it needs to stop, and we need to get accountability out of the mental health people. We need ethical standards of practice enforced, and that's the licensing boards, and they're not doing their job, obviously. Look what you got. Who's responsible for enforcing ethical standards of practice? The licensing boards. Look what you got. Okay, duty to protect, just negligent. Failure to take proper care in doing something. You'll see me use. We need to do a proper risk assessment for possible child psychological abuse. We need to do a proper assessment for possible spousal psychological abuse. Proper assessment. They're not doing a proper assessment. That would be a definition of negligent. So good luck to you. I'm going to head back to my world and my work, and I just wanted to kind of vent that out there while it was hot on my brain. So take care, and we'll talk to you on Sunday. Bye bye.